I just don't want to pay a second-round pick for a closer.
Fantasy baseball prep is here for 2022. I'm Alan Seslowsky with Chris Liss. Chris, you'd already entered one early draft. Is there anything that stuck out?
So, I mean, obviously the thing that's stuck out for everybody is the closers going super early, like Liam Hendricks went 16th at the turn. It's a 15-team league. So, you know, I wish the guy had taken him 15th since he took Ohtani and him back-to-back. Then he could say he got a closer in the first round. Real man takes a closer in the first round. I am not a real man. I'm not doing that. Hader went mid-second. I got Blake Trynan, who may or may not be the closer. He looks like it for now, unless they re-sign Jansen in LA. And I got him in the 11th round, late 11.14 in a 15-team league. And then I got Garrett Whitlock, who, again, might not be the closer, at 15.14. And then I got a bunch of speculative guys like Kyle Finnegan and Ian Kennedy. And remember, this is the draft champion, so there's no waiver wire. You better have, you know, to get your saves, you better find one of the guys on your roster who's in the role. So I'm just going to go volume late. But I just don't want to pay a second round pick for a closer. And I think, like, as long as I can find some saves and you don't need as many, I'll be all right. And if I'm not, then I won't be. But again, I'm trying to win an overall, and that's something nobody is a favorite to do. So you're going to take some chances somewhere.
When you take a look at the top 5 players that are going to go in most drafts, Trey Turner, Soto, Tatis, and Vlad, is there a consensus order, or are those guys in a tier, so to speak?
No, or a tier, but it's bigger than that because Garrett Cole went 5th. I think he can get pushed up the top 3. Corbin Burns went 6th. In my league, Guerrero went 9. You know, Walker Buehler went 8th. So I think Turner, Tatis, are probably and Soto, I think, are the most likely guys to go 1, but Jose Ramirez is there. Those pitchers are there. And then you have Bichette and Guerrero. I think at 10 would be the start of the second tier.
Who's a player that's going to go in the first round that scares you and that you're not going to take, even though their consensus ADP is likely to end up in the top 15 picks?
None of them scare me, but I don't think I'm taking, you know, Harper in the first round or Trout. Trout probably doesn't run. He's been a little banged up. I mean, he can hit 45 home runs, but I probably wouldn't take him in the first round. So those are a couple guys I'm avoiding.
You talked about it a little bit before, but if you don't buy into the elite tier of closers, is there anybody super late that in a typical league where you can pick up free agents that you might speculate on this early?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I like Trynan where I got him. If Jansen signs anywhere else, he's a good chance he could be the top closer in baseball. I like Giovanni Gallegos, though he went in the 6th round, so there's no real discount on him. You know, Garrett Whitlock seems like the best reliever in Boston. He may start, but if he stays in the bullpen, he could easily close.
So is Jacob deGrom hurt?
We don't know.
Okay.
I got him in the first pick of the second round. I mean, second pick of the second round. And I looked at it. He's not injured right this second, but he had, you know, he could be injured any moment. But I just thought, especially if the season's short because of the lockout, I was like, this guy, he's so far and above everybody that if he even pitches like 120 innings, you're going to get your second round value.
Okay, Ronald Lacuna, he has an injury tag as well. What's his situation, and where is he going to be going in these early drafts?
Yeah, he got hurt last summer, and, you know, obviously he's a guy who runs, and that's what you need from him. And is he going to run as much when he comes back? I don't know. But I think he's I don't know if he's a bargain, but I think he's a good gamble where he's going, because you know you're going to get the power, and then if you do get the speed, you know, you're talking about a guy that could have gone 1.1.
One of my favorite things about doing early drafts is you get to see who's getting pushed up, and it's a sample of 1, so it doesn't really mean much, but who is a player that got pushed at least a few rounds ahead of where you thought they were going to go?
I don't know, because I haven't really looked at it, but like Hendricks going the first, you know, 16th overall to me was pretty early. I know closers are going early, but that really pushing it. You know, some of these other, like Edwin Diaz going to the 4th round just seems bananas to me, but you know, people are desperate to get their saves, especially this early. Yelich and Bellinger went at the 4-5 turn in my league, and that's way earlier than ADP. I like both those guys at the ADP, you know, the 8th round or whatever, but they went in the 4-5 turn. So there were some things, but it's so early and it's just one draft that I wouldn't read into my draft as meaning that much. And then we're so early in draft season, and, you know, there's a lockout and no spring training maybe, that, you know, it may be just totally different in March.
every year when you play a fantasy sport, you develop a new edge based on some mistakes you made last year. What do you think an edge is going to be this year for you as you start early drafts and early ADP study and rankings in January and February?
Two things. One is don't rely on last year's results too much. Remember Kelsey, everyone was drafting him in the first round in football because he was so valuable and tight end was so scarce. It wasn't really a great pick. It wasn't a terrible pick this year, but it wasn't great. Don't try to overly learn last year's lesson. I think that's one. The other one is I really try to avoid all the fantasy baseball Twitter pundits because I don't want to know what they think. I just want to have a pure process. The guys that I like. There's certainly guys I don't know about. I'm going to miss out on some bargains, some things I'm not attuned to. That's fine. As long as I don't pollute my own process by seeing, by the end of baseball or even football season, everybody's a sleeper. Everybody has a case. There's somebody like banging the drum for every single guy. Remember I had that joke where I listed like 75 people as my sleepers. It's like, oh, everyone's a sleeper. Yeah, well, everyone does have a case. Everybody's ADP is the sum of the case for and against simultaneously that has an equilibrium at his draft position. So if every single guy in the top 5 rounds has a case for and against, so you can like every one of them and fade every one of them simultaneously. And you don't want to do that. You want to make choices.
Who are you going to truther for this baseball season? Meaning a player that you've gone to the mat for that just hasn't produced yet, but you're not ready to quit, and is going to be on your team.
Well, I've already done that with Gavin Lux, even though he's a totally bad pick last year. I probably drafted him too early in round 14. But the guy that I'm going to have a lot of, I think, is Verlander in round 8. I think Verlander should be like round 4. I think he's coming back. He's healthy. They gave him 25 mil. I think, that shows that they had no issues with him physically. And I just love all of the former first roundish guys like Lindor and, Verlander and all these guys that are, Verlander's old, but he's a pitcher. I got Bregman in round 7. I don't love him, but I just feel like all these guys that a year or two ago we were, drafting extremely high and they had injuries or they had whatever, and they're not, like geriatric. I'm going to have a lot of former, very highly drafted players that are still in their late primes.
If you get the number 1 pick in an important draft and you have to decide today, who would be your number 1 pick?
I'm going to say Soto maybe, or maybe Tatis. I don't know. I really don't know.
I have to decide. You're on the clock or you get the Vikings treatment and you pass.
All right, I'll say Tatis.
To see RotoWire's fantasy baseball kit for free, you can check everything out for 10 days. Just go to rotowire.com/try. And to check out Chris Liss's premium content, go to realmanwood.com.